you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Yes, I'm a grown man wearing a Rigby hat talking about video games. Now that we got that out of the way, today's game is actually pretty historical because not only is it one of the earlier titles released by this particular developer, this is the first title released by this developer, like ever. Like ever. You know this developer from Banjo-Kazooie, Killer Instinct, Wizards and Warriors, Time Lord, RC Pro-Am. And today's game is a little more obscure, but because it's their first title, it's very important. Today, we will talk about the first title developed by Rare, Slalom. Now, Slalom is a cool little title. There's nothing really groundbreaking about Slalom. You play as a little skier guy, and you're on a series of different mountains, and you pick different runs on different mountains. You go through the run. That's it. Now, what's cool about Slalom is that it gives a really good sensation of speed. It really feels like you're really zipping down the track. It kind of reminds me of an early Square title that was published by Nintendo for the NES called Rad Racer. Slalom, like I said, there's nothing really groundbreaking about it. These types of games were done on different consoles before this and were done after this. But Slalom was just a well done title. It felt more like it didn't really feel like a skiing title or a game that was supposed to depict skiing. It felt more like a racing game, kind of like other early racing titles like Pole Position or Mach Rider, or something like that, where you everything was predicated on a sensation of speed. Well, this game gave you that sensation of speed, and as an example of such an early NES title, that's really remarkable. Another cool thing about this title is that the soundtrack to this game, as limited as it is, was the first soundtrack composed by David Wise, who has done video game music over the years for a number of really good titles and some mediocre titles like Time Lord. But his music is well known amongst gamers. Even though they may not recognize the name David Wise, they know the music. So this title, like I said, it's one of those things that'll get lost in the shuffle because it's a skiing game and it's a black box title for the NES. So among other black box titles like Donkey Kong or Stack Up or Gyromite, Hogan's Alley, stuff like that, it'll get lost. But there is no denying that Slalom was a fantastic game. As basic as it is, a whole lot of fun. I found my copy pretty cheap. You should be able to find a copy pretty cheap because it's one of those games that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. A lot of people aren't really looking for a skiing title on their NES. They want something a little more. They either want something a little more visceral or something that gives a sense of excitement. But definitely pick up a copy of Slalom. It's old school, just basic. You're gonna have fun. It's an escapist type thing. Because let's be real, how many of us? I live in the South. How many of us are really just gonna go get on a mountain and just race down a mountain at high speeds? That's what I thought. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people.